Ladies and gentlemen, this is John Rare, and we have a very special guest tonight. Deathmatch legend himself, Insane Lane. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, John. Just staying alive, just like everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, staying in from all this damn craziness that the damn world's being.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just trying to do what's right for me and mine, and just trying to stay away from all that.
Yeah, we're trying around here. Unfortunately, it kind of came to our town once, but other than that, yeah, we're trying our best as well. So, you've spent a lot of time in the wrestling industry. How did you first get your foot in the door?
In 2002, I was in college, and I was working at a movie gallery in Athens, Alabama. My manager, who's now my brother-in-law, my other friend, they were talking about there was a guy, Russell, came in there and put some flowers in them. I was like, "There's wrestling around here?" Yeah, I hadn't lived there in that area long. I mean, I'm originally from there, but I moved back. And I was like, "There's wrestling around here?" He's like, "Yeah, we're actually going a little bit, going to see if I get trained." I was like, "Shit, for real?" I was like, "I want to go." And they're like, "All right." So we went up there and saw what it was about. And, got in the did a couple things that I thought we could do. What do you think you can do? I was like, "Well, I don't know." I don't know a lot. And I was like, these kind of, gave us the lowdown and all this stuff. And then from there, we just started training. And, it was rough because, it was a bunch of old school guys, and they didn't let us go anywhere except go to they wouldn't let you go to the dress. They wouldn't show us the dressing rooms or nothing. But that's how I got my foot in the door. Was a promotion in Athens, Alabama, that was ran by Alvin Wallace, who's now passed away. But that's where I got started, and training there by a guy named Charlie Swinger. And actually, Bill Macho had a hand in my training, and I got Sean Pete, a guy named Michael Bates. They all kind of, it was like all them guys just showing us the rope and stuff. And I had my match, first match, May 22nd. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was in May. And in Fayetteville, Tennessee, against one of the guys who I worked with. And it was a Chris Kern show, and the guy's name was, it was a Chris Kern show, and he told me, "What's your name?" I said, "Insane Lane." He said, "Oh, that's not good." He said, you need a bull." And I was like, "Okay." So I was Insane Max Lane in my very first match, and I was playing against my friend, and he was a Denim. He said, "No, that's not a good name either." He said, you need a real name." He was like, "Okay, I'm Big Venom then." So we had our match, and I got paid $20. I was like, wow. I was like, because the guys were telling me, when I was getting trained, maybe you're only getting maybe $5-10 and a handshake, and that'll probably be the best of it. And I was like, wow, my first match, I got $20. Wow, I'm going places. Well, then the very next night, I debuted at the place I was training at Alvin Wallace's promotion in Athens, and next night I got sent back down to us. I got $5 and $100, and that's pretty much how it was there for a while. And I got my ass kicked by a lot of the older guys because they were like, "Well, you got in here, and you're gonna have to show your way." I got my ass whooped by guys like Rick Hayes. They're all wrestling. They're all against in Carnage Cup 2006 and Razor Wire board match, and he whooped my ass with them.
Yes.
Pretty good time, and and some of the other older guys. But then, I kept coming back, and I did what I was told, and I just, they said, shut your mouth and listen. I did all that, and, things went from there.
Like I've actually got your Rick Hayes match. I got that match uploaded to my YouTube channel, because that was, when they talk about instrumental matches in history, that was the very first match that had the razor wire in it at Carnage Cup, and maybe the U.S. all in general, but I know for sure Carnage Cup. And watching Carnage Cup personally, some of your stuff, I became a fan with, especially with the razor wire, because I've taken over the razor wire now. But
yeah, you're the man. You're the man.
I love the razor wire, but you did it. You did it with Rick Hayes first, and one of the matches that you did that really made me want to get into the business, and I always said this is one of my favorite fucking matches of all time, was you and Danny Havoc with the razor blades, and I believe that one was Pulaski, Tennessee, right?
Yes, and that's actually one of my favorite matches too. I mean, it was. We told a great story in that match, and rest in peace, Danny Havoc, man. I hate that he's gone now, but but that was that match right here. I mean, we talked about what we wanted to do, and and how we wanted to end it, and we just thought it was kind of a cool way to do it and stuff, and it, like I said, it's one of my favorite matches I ever did. And even the referee the match told me that's one of the best matches he's ever refereed. So that was cool. And I ain't got any feedback. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. There, I've mentioned it before, especially when I review some of your matches. There's some similarities to your past that I always try to do in my matches, because I believe it was at Donna's Bar and Grill, or whatever, the karaoke place.
The Country Music Bar, that's what it was called. And that's we ran, me and my brother-in-law, Chris, we ran a small wrestling at, and that's where Donna ran it. And then when Kevin's first night time I got shut down, Kevin was looking for a place. I mean, if you see, you have the whole story of 10 years of Carnage. He was looking for a place, and we said, hey, man, I think we can have a place for you. You can use ours.
Yeah.
And, so that's when it went from there.
So, when you were there, you actually was the first person to pull out a box cutter in your hostile death match.
I was?
Yeah. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah. Go back.
I do not remember pulling out a box cutter. We've had so many matches so many years ago. It's hard to remember. I had no idea I pulled out a box cutter.
Now, maybe you didn't go to the extents that I did, but yeah, you pulled out one of them extracto knives, the box cutter, but and I'm trying to remember who you. I'm trying to remember the match you were in. It was the hostile death match, so that was Corey Shaddix, right?
Might be Corey Shaddix, man.
Yeah. So yeah, when you pulled it out, that was a cool time for me when I was watching that. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do the hostile death match at Carnage Cup 9 is, during the Saw match, I used the box cutter, and then I was like, you know what? Lane did a hostile death match, so I was like, I wanted to wrestle Christian Cross, in the hostile death match, and, I thought that was a damn cool similarity there.
I guess everyone wants to shit on you for using that box cutter too far. I guess it's my fault.
You know what? It's actually going on 10 years since that incident happened, and I'm not kidding that at least a few times a year, that still gets brought up every year.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, at the time, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. What the hell? I don't know, because, in death matches, we both done death matches, people going to get hurt, but you don't want them to get too terribly fucked up. That's all we're concerned. But but hearing the backstory over the years about what you and Spider agreed to, I was like, well, hey, well then I was like, oh, well, that's fine then. And now you look at today, people are taking body slams on open scissor boards and meat cleavers and all this shit. So but I mean that right here is just, I mean, if anybody wants to sit there and that was terrible. I mean, you need to see what's going on today. Because I mean, they're doing some wild shit too. I mean, so the fact that people still talk about it 10 years later means, I mean, better or worse, people remember you for that.
Yeah. Like, if you remember that night, like, I don't remember if you really remember the injuries from that night, but Danny Havoc actually had a, slit of glass go in his back that ended up being, honestly, 10 times worse than the cut on Spider's arm. Because, Spider was good when he left the building. His arm was, his hip wasn't, but, and Danny, he actually had to go to the emergency room that night to stop the bleeding from that glass that he got from his back.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, the stab, it looked like it was overboard, but as simple as it was actually pretty well, orchestrated.
Yeah.
And Hale, like, I don't even, do you remember Saw 2 the year after?
You know what, man, I'm going to be honest with you, after Carnage Tug 2010, the one-on-one, and I kind of walked away for a few years, I didn't really walk with Paul wrestling all that much.
Like,
on TV or indie, because I was so busy, trying to get my, I just got married and had a son, and trying to raise a family and stuff. So I kind of dumped all my time into that, and also if I ever did try to follow it, I'd start missing it and I'd get depressed. So I just I need to remove myself from it.
Yeah, like the year after that, we used that damn power saw. And
I've seen the video. I've seen footage of it.
Everybody freaked out over that. And the honest, I got Spider so thinly with the damn power saw that it probably left a smaller scar than the box cutter did. So I know all that shit always sounds crazy as hell, but I always did it as careful as damn possible.
I think people say, too far, but I've never, as long as I've known you and seen your matches, I've never seen, and you've done razor wire all the time, and nothing's really bad has ever come of it. I know you had that one injury to your leg, but that was just a freak accident or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. You talking about when I broke my leg? Yeah, that was just, honestly, that was on me. I went and did the stunt before the people on the outside was ready. I thought they were ready, but obviously, when you rewatch it, it was my fault. They wasn't ready to catch me yet, so. But yeah, that was just a random accident.
Yeah, and it didn't involve any power tools, it was just a dive.
Yeah, something that.
It just goes to show, in the genre of professional wrestling that we do, we use dangerous stuff, but you can still get hurt doing simple stuff like a dive or even taking a suplex, break your damn back, whatever. Just things happen,
Yeah, it's simple. Like when you did the backdrop onto that shopping cart, that fucked you up royalty.
oh man, let me tell you, God dang, I remember it like it was yesterday. I thought I was going to land on it flush, and then when I got over it, the little part of my lumbar hit the edge, and it hit me. And I felt this cold chill run down my leg and up my back. I went, oh, that's not good. But I got up and I was fine. And me and Freak Show, we finished the match, and then about my sister was at the show. Her and her husband at the time, Conrad Thompson, came to the show, and She was like, "Are you okay?" My back hurts. She's like, "Well," she helped me out with a couple of pain pills. Take these, but you got to take off neck coat. She's like, "Who you taking on neck?" I was like, she didn't know what I was putting on actually. She's like, "Take these because you're gonna need them." So, and then I ended up taking on a neck butcher in the second round, and I was fine. We had a great match. I thought me and Necro did, and man, the next morning I couldn't walk. And my whole back turned, and my leg, it just turned. And it wasn't like purple; it was black. And I had this big old person back in my lumbar area, and I didn't have feeling in it for over a year. And it took, and I couldn't walk, and it was, it hurt so bad. But I think maybe a month later, I had a match with Psycho at FTW, that town, Rogersville, Alabama. I played that match. My back was still hurting me, but I still went out there and did it. Had a match, and it was actually pretty good. I mean, I didn't really bump a whole lot, and I didn't pick him up hardly. I think maybe once or twice I did a suplex one time, and I body slammed him. But the rest times it was just strikes and
so
whatnot. But
at FTW, you spent a lot of time there, correct?
yes, actually, after the thing with that was, we were working at Alvin Wallace. A bunch of us were working at Alvin Wallace's promotion in Athens, and there was a bunch of us guys there that were really a bunch of really good guys there. It was me, it was Adam Armour, Christian Haim, several guys, several decent guys there, and some of these older guys that were there, they pretty much told us that, this is about as good as it's ever going to get for y'all. And we're like, and some of us were like, it's not. You want to do better. And it was such a deal of that place that I do have some good memories there. But at the time, it was very limited to what you did. It was very old school, which is fine. But we want to do more. We were watching more indie wrestling that was going on, like the IWAs and the CCWs and the Ring of Honor and stuff in Japan. We wanted to do that kind of stuff. So me and my brother-in-law, Chris, who went by the name Chris Castle, he was actually the ring announcer for Iwa Deep South for a while. And we just said, we're going to start our wrestling show. And we sold all our personal belongings to get a ring made. We made our ring. Actually, the ring that Kevin used in a lot of the early IWA Deep South shows was our ring. We built it ourselves. Chris, his dad, I, and our friend Jared would come in there and help a little bit. But we sold all, and Chris sold all his stuff. I sold a lot of my shit on eBay, and we raised the money, and we built a ring. And then I think my friend Jared found that country music with Donna's. It's now Donna's Cafe now, I think, but at the time it was called the Country Music Barn. And started running shows there, and I thought we did a pretty good job there for a while. And we brought a lot of good indie talent in. I think we were one of the first weekly shows, really, in Alabama to really showcase the new indie style.
Like, I know when I was training and everything, I kept hearing about FTW all the time. I never made it up that way. Because, I actually trained a little bit lower than that at the Mud Tavern in, I think it was Coleman. But I always heard...
Tavern?
Yeah, the Mud Tavern.
Oh, yeah, dude, I wrestled Morgan County Wrestling. He's the one in Faultville. I know the people there, man. I had good times there. We had a match there in Faultville. I had a couple there. We did a match called Car in a Cage. It was outside, and we put a cage up we put a beat up car in the middle, and it was like it was kind of like a death match, and it was. I mean, people around that area. You mentioned that they'll talk about it. That was a pretty wild thing. Yeah, but Mud Tavern, I had some good memories of that place.
So you know Terry Teague very well.
Oh man, yeah. Who don't? I mean, you from that area in Alabama, you know Terry Teague, and most of them probably, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's the one that actually got in contact with us about coming up there to train. Because, you know, at the time, I was huge into backyard wrestling. And, you know, we had our stuff on the internet. So, you know, a few people reached out to me about, you know, getting trained and coming to their shows. And Terry was actually the first one that I actually, you know, accepted the invite for. And, you know, we came up there with, you remember the guy called Big James Mayhem, the one that got the shit beat out of him a few times at shows for real?
Yeah.
Like, he was in that same group that went up there with me. You know, we were kind of promised that we would actually get to wrestle that night, but, you know, that was him promising it, not the promoter at the time. But, you know, yeah, they took us up there. They trained us for a while. They beat the shit out of us. I think they were honestly just harder on us to see if we would, you know, break and, you know, quit.
Yeah.
But, you know,
exactly. Well, yeah.
But we didn't. You know, we sat there and we took it. And, I mean, what we did, we were sore as shit. They beat the fuck out of us. It was I remember Terry was in there. It was some random tag team, and then there was, like, a cowboy. I can't remember what his name was, but, you know, those guys, you know, they lit us up for a long fucking time. And then, you know, when it came time for the show, of course, it was, you know, oh, well, we ain't got time. Or, you know, he said not today or something, so we didn't get to wrestle, which pissed us off.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Terry Teague's the one that, well, you know, one of the first people that gave me a call and, you know, got me training. Which, you know, I can't talk too much shit because it did get me in the door. It did get me out there and met a few people. Now, the second time around, the next guy was actually a little bit more dedicated to training and actually putting shows on, because, you know, he actually just set up a ring in the backyard one day. He rented the ring from Will Owens, which is, you know, a pretty decent name to know here in Alabama. And, you know, we trained again, and we ended up getting on a show with Action Mike Jackson. So, you know, hey, that's that story. So who would you say your favorite person was to wrestle at the FTW at the time?
I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't say it again.
Who was your favorite person to wrestle at FTW?
My favorite person to wrestle at FTW. Well, you know, I had some. I working with a lot of guys. Let's see. Well, you know, me and Freak Show. You know, we had some really good matches there. I mean, we became a tag team 6 feet under, but we had some good matches against each other too. Actually, they had a fan awards in 2006. I actually have the plaques and the plaque still, and they had a match of the year award, and it was voted by the fans. And the match of the year was me and Freak Show. So I mean, so that's probably the favorite guy. Another guy I enjoyed working with was Cabana Man Dan. I enjoyed working with him. Christian Haim, he was fun. Who else? Jeremy Flint was another one.
Oh yeah, I love Flint. Like, I've got into the ring with Flint a few times, and dude's so fucking awesome to work with.
Oh yeah, he's great. He is great.
And talking about Cabana Man Dan for a minute, when we were actually doing backyard wrestling in Leeds, Alabama, Cabana Man Dan came out and actually watched one of our shows once.
Oh wow, that's cool. He's doing big things now, man. I hear he's all over the place these days.
I honestly have not heard anything recently from him, but It may be just my limited resources of looking too.
Yeah, I know he was like the Mid-South champion, and he was doing Chikara and all these other shows and stuff. So I mean, like I said, I don't know, but he's been doing really good lately. And another guy that didn't get a lot of, another guy that didn't get a lot, don't get a lot of, people don't know but should have known. And if he had, if he didn't have other responsibilities, he probably could have went to World Wrestling. His name was Sean T. He was really good and uber talented, and just a great, him and Jeremy Flint were actually a tag team, and me and Corey Shacks was a tag team before me and Freestone was a tag team, and we had good matches with them, and then me and Freestone had some good tag matches with them. I mean, just good stuff. I mean, everybody pretty much I ever, our guys at football wrestling, I thought at the time was probably the best group of guys. I mean, this is just my opinion. I thought, or I still think now, at the time, our stable of guys that were there were the best in Alabama, at least North Alabama, but in that area right there, I think we had the best group of guys, talent-wise, and just fun people, and we always had a good time there. It was fun, and it was just, it was a good time. It was a good time in my life, and I actually learned a lot more working with all these other guys, and not just doing death matches, just having regular matches. And I felt I matured and grew as a performer through that promotion, and those guys are a big credit to that.
So, which organization did you do your first big death match with?
Well, the first, I mean, I don't really consider it, I mean, I don't know, the car in the cage match I did was pretty crazy. But, I mean, like I said, it was at Faultville, and, I mean, there was people there, but, I mean, it wasn't really billed as a death match. It was just a extreme crazy match, I mean, but, I think probably, I'm trying to think. My first real death match. Trying to think. Now, I've done some, I mean, I did some hardcore matches, like ETW style stuff,
Yeah.
Extreme, hardcore matches, First real death match. I probably would have to say, I'm trying to think, probably it might have been an FT. God, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. It was either a no-rope barbed wire match I had at Football Wrestling's Post-Mortem Showdown against Psycho from XBW, or it was, I can't honestly remember. That's the earliest one I can remember that would be considered like a full-blown death match. I've had hardcore matches before, people using, chairs and, trash cans and chairs and maybe a little ball and maybe some barbed wire in there and a kid stick, but not to the degree of what we did in that match.
What kind of, did you ever have any history with Prophet? I think his real name was like Brandon something, but...
Yeah. Actually, I like that, him getting me ready for this kind of stuff, wrestling-wise, because when I was starting out, I was always a big fan of ETW stuff. I mean, who wasn't, right?
Yeah.
I kept hearing about this show in Rogersville, Alabama, called XVW, which stood for Extreme Violence and Wrestling. And Prophet was the was the head honcho there, and I'm like, oh, I want to go there. Like, man, and people are like, well, you ain't ready yet. I got tired of people telling me I ain't ready yet, so I got a hold of him somehow. I don't know. I mean, I think he can do a go or something. I don't know. I said, well, hey man, I said, look, I said, I like doing that pilot stuff too, you know. And I was like, you know, I want to get into that more, you know. And he's like, oh, come on over, get a shot. And my first match was against him, and we had a pretty good match. And he came after the match, shook my hand for everybody to say, hey, this guy's pretty good. And then my second match was against Spider Boudreaux, and that was pretty wild, man. That was back then when he was flying in the air and shit.
Dude, I've been hit with him. He's hit me, you know, jumping through those fucking ropes. And, you know, that was when he was larger. But, damn, that dude can hit.
Yeah, oh yeah. He was smaller than, I was always a big dude. I mean, he was smaller than, he'd do like Sabu shit. He would put a chair down, hit the ropes in the back, and jump on the chair and fly over the top rope and hit you with stuff, and hit you with a dive and stuff. I mean, he was, and I'll never forget during that match either. He pressed me and threw me into the crowd. I'm like, oh my god! I was like 250 at the time, I guess. I mean, I wasn't as big as I was now or whatever, but he threw me into the crowd, whoa, and all that. And then I hit him with a chair, and he just looked at me. I was like, oh boy. He got a damn garbage can, and he hit me in the head. And I thought, and I forgot how it was an old garbage can. Not these new ones that just bend when you hit some, when you make impact with it. It was one of them old damn steel garbage can lids. And he popped me in the damn head, and everything went wrong for like 2 seconds. I think I got one of my early concussion. I probably got a concussion from it. But anyway, we had a really good match, and then things went on from there. We started doing crazier stuff, and that's actually how Kevin Brandon discovered me. It was through that.
Good old Kevin.
Yeah, man.
God damn, man.
I turned my head, man. I can't see that.
So, out of the promoters, who did you really get in tight with first? Like, was it Kevin Brandon, Ian Rotten, DJ Hyde? Like, which one did you really get to know first?
It was Kevin Brandon. First, Kevin was the first one I got to know really well. You know, we talked, about everything, you know, and he, and about what he wanted to do with Iwa Deep South, and how he wanted to, you know, and bring death matches to this part of the country, and all this stuff, you know, and then through Kevin, you know, I got to meet Ian Rotten, you know, and I kind of, and I was like, hey, you know, I said, I'd like to come work at your show, and then I forget what show it was. It was like one of the early Deep South shows. It was me, Spider, and Ian Rotten, and we all had a match, and that was, I think, where Ian. Because Ian, I think from that match, invited us to King of the Death matches for the first time that year. You know, me and Spire both went. So I got cool with Ian after that. And DJ, I never really had a relationship with DJ. I mean, it was just, hey, we're going to do this. All right. Well, I'm going to throw you off the balcony tonight, all right? All right. You know, that was about as much contact as I had with DJ during that whole thing. He just telling me about the match. I actually got along with Zandig pretty good, because Zandig loved me and Freak Show's match at tournament at 6. You know, because if you watch the match, and Zandig jumps in our post-match interview, and says, y'all guys did great. Yeah, you see these motherfuckers? Come see it and tell them, get on the boards, let us know, and all this stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, that was awesome. And Zandig was actually there the night I got thrown and he's told me since then, as recently as a couple of years ago when he was working with GCW, and with CGW before they had their little beef. But anyway, he's told me, he said, man, he said that fall you took with Bounty is one of the craziest damn things I've ever seen. And that coming from him, Zandy, coming from his mouth to tell me that, I was like, wow.
Yeah, like I wish, I can just picture how CZW would be now if he would have stayed, in charge and kept running it, because over the last few years, definitely, CZW is just, it's trash compared to what it used to be. And what's funny is like, when I first started looking at death matches, and this is always a funny story to tell, is like my friend showed me some CZW matches, and I was like, God damn, man, that's just too fucking far. That's too much. That's too much. And then like, you know me, my first Carnage Cup, I fucking stabbed somebody. So it's just like, yeah, there's a gap there. But I did like, he showed me like I want to say it was Wife Beater with the Weed Whacker. And I was just like, oh God, no, that's stupid. I ain't doing. That's just fucking. No, I wasn't for it at the time. But yeah, it grew on me. It grew on me. Now see, I liked, I loved, Japanese death matches. Like as a kid, I was always watching Funk and Cactus Jack. I watched them do crazy shit all the time, and I loved it. But, when I watched CZW for the first time, my first thing was, God, this is just too far. It's not worth it.
Funny story about CZW. I was maybe 2004, and I was getting ready to quit. I had just had my first divorce. And it was an ugly one, and I had ready to quit wrestling. I was like, I'm just going to go try and live a life. Well, my sister's ex-husband's Conrad Thompson, and he's a big wrestling guy, and he said, nah, dude, he said, you need to, he said, I need to show you something. And I was like, okay. He shows me this tribute video of the Necro Butcher. He says, I know you like doing hardcore stuff. He said, but you need to start doing this stuff. He said, you got the perfect character for it. And he said, and I can see you doing this. And he played the video, and it was Necro Butcher doing all this stuff. Oh my God. He's like, I can see you doing this. He said, don't quit.
Dude, yeah, Necro was one of those guys when I first started watching it. You could tell when he was punching people, he was knocking them out. He was hitting them for real. And
I felt it.
And that's like when I was watching that before I got into the business, I was watching that. And, this was still at the time whenever I was doing hardcore and glass and stuff like that in the backyard. But when I was watching this stuff, just like CZW, I was watching it and I was just like, fuck no, there's no way I'm doing this shit. Because, years before I ever went pro, Big James, the guy I was telling you about that I trained with, he was trying to get me to go to the IWA shows and meet Kevin because, I was crazy in the backyard. So he followed Iwa Deep South, so he tried to give me that hookup a little bit earlier, and I wish I would have done it. But, I was always kind of lenient, or not, well, I was kind of leaning away from it, like, I don't think that's going to be for me doing that.
Yeah, it's funny how it worked out.
Because, originally I was supposed to debut at Carnage Cup 5. It didn't happen. Then I was going to do it at Carnage Cup 6. That didn't happen, that was your Carnage Cup.
Yeah.
And then, eventually Carnage Cup 7 rolled around. But, which one was your first Carnage Cup? Was it 3?
I did the first big Carnage Cup.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I was in the first thing from 2005 to 2010.
So when you won so it took you 6 years. I remember the one that you did the main event with Necro. Who was the other two in that match?
It was Corporal and Drink Hunter in 2006. It was the that night I did the race part. That's probably my favorite part of stuff of all time. That was probably some of my best work. Because like I said, I had that crazy razor wire match with Rick Hayes, and I had a great match with Bull Payne. I mean, he beat the shit out of me, but we had the crowd like into it. They were eating up, because he was big. He was such a mean son of a bitch, and people were just going, "Come on, Ryan!" He was just beating my ass all the time. And then at the end, I beat him, and the crowd was nuts. I loved it, so even Bull to this day. Well, I had muscle up here, but back then, when I talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, that was a great match," I'm like, "Yeah," and then went did that finals, and oh man, that was one of the most brutal matches. It wasn't like injured or anything, but it was just and the bloodshed and just all the shit we did each other in that match. I mean, it was great organized chaos. And it ended up really good, and it was like I said, I think it was one. I think that was the night I felt like, you know what, I can hang with the big guys, and can really do something with this. Because I mean, after that, I took off kind of, and I was working everywhere after that. So
yeah, like I think you're right. Like when it comes to your Carnage Cup performances, I think that was the night that, like you said, you kind of stood out, but you stood toe to toe with, the legends that were on that show. And I know you were a bloody fucking mess that night.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't there. I wasn't there personally, but like I said, that was one of those nights that some of my friends that did the backyard with me, they were there, front row. And, they would always come and tell me about the damn shows. And like I said, I wish I would have jumped on that shit when I did. Because, I would have loved to have been able to get in there with, especially you. I've never got to get in the ring with you. And,
I know. I mean, alleviate one day.
And, even like, when Birmingham Hardcore came around, I didn't get to do any work with you.
Yeah.
But maybe one day, like, who knows? I'm currently out of retirement again, so that lasted a whole, 6 months.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, man. It happens to the best of us.
I mean,
nobody really retires in this. Nobody really retires in this. They just kind of take it sabbatical for a while.
Yeah. Like I said, I came back for the show, and unfortunately, when I got that taste for blood again, I kind of made a small list, and I was like, as soon as I get this list done, I'm out again. But I'm definitely in.
If you're good at what you do and you love it, it's hard to walk away from it.
And that was the first time that was the first time my daughter was kind of old enough to actually enjoy the show, and she loved the damn show. Like, she was having so much damn fun that night watching that match.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
I had my son come to the show with me, a couple shows with me, and I did some. It was a couple of bloodbaths the last couple of years, and he can't. I mean, he liked the rest of the show, but when he sees me in there, man, he gets really upset.
I kind of thought that my daughter was going to be the same way. Like, especially when I was bloody. That was one of my bloodiest matches that I've ever done with Peter. It's with Peter Be Beautiful. But I gigged so fucking good. I was bloodbathed. Like, one eye was drenched in it. I couldn't fucking see. And, I'm getting up there in age now, so I really can't hear that fucking good in the ring either. That's another reason I kind of wanted to step away, is like my hearing's getting really bad. And, if you can't hear in the ring, when someone's calling shit, then it kind of hurts it. But
yeah.
But I was a one-eyed bloody fucking mess that night. But I fucking loved it. Peter took damn good care of me that night.
Oh, Peter B. was a great guy. I worked him in and Gladstone, Michigan, I think it was, name of the city, for UPW Lord of Hardcore a few years ago.
Yeah.
I thought we had a pretty decent match. It's one of my last really good matches I had, really. And then I ballooned and fucking weight and got kind of ultra badass. But it was like one of my last. That was probably the last good show. Probably pretty much the last good show I really honestly did.
Was that after? Was that match after Carnage Cup 10?
Yeah. This was like a 2017.
Oh, okay, yeah, just a few years ago. Like, your match at Carnage Cup 10 with Bryant Woods, it was a bloodbath. That was, Bryant was bleeding buckets that night, but...
it was bad. We went in the match. I mean, actually, the thing was about that match, I wanted to keep going. He said, man, we got to wrap this up. I'm going to pass out. I'm like, all right, man, let's do this. And then we kind of, like I said, Brian, all credit him. He's a great competitor, a great performer and stuff. So he's grumpy, but yeah, he pulled up juicer that night, man. I mean, he was bleeding. He was bleeding like it's the whole tournament. I remember. I mean, we had that match with Corp and stuff like that. I mean, hell, the whole tournament, man, he was a bleeder that weekend.
Yeah, like, I remember I was right there at the damn curtain whenever you picked him up for that suplex and fucking suplexed him right through the damn ropes, the barbed wire ropes. And, like, the fans, like they didn't immediately fucking, like, jump. I think they honestly, like me, they kind of looked at it and was just like, holy shit. Then they went nuts. Like, that was fucking crazy there.
Yeah, actually, a funny story behind that. When I locked up, man, because it was my first match back in God knows how long, and I was so nervous. I kind of didn't know my mind just went blank when we locked up, and I didn't really know what to do. And I'm just glad Brian didn't get hurt, because I mean, it could have been bad, but I was like, suplex. He's like, what, suplex? And I was like, hell, yeah. And I just suplexed him, and I just fell back, and thank God it turned out as good as it did, but people liked it. But like I said, that was just a thing. That was just a reach in the air, I think, because I was just so nervous for being back in the ring.
Yeah, like y'all kind of got a warm up at Birmingham Hardcore. You got to wrestle them in a fans bring the weapons match.
Yeah.
Which was, I think that's the most viewed, if I'm right, that's the most viewed Birmingham Hardcore match on my channel.
Ooh.
If I'm right, I think I am. But either way, it was fucking good. It was killer. When I broke my...
I've always enjoyed working with Brian. He's a good guy.
Yeah, when I broke my leg, he was one of the first people to reach out to me and, tell me, to, keep going because, he's had his injuries. And, my first few matches, I would say probably 5-6 matches were all with him or Spider. So, he definitely took care of me, after my injury.
Yeah.
Now,
like I said, Spider's brutal as shit, but like I said, he does more to himself than he would to you.
Yes. Yeah, he does. So, let's see, what else was I going to cover here on this one? Honestly, I've got so much that I can cover with you that I probably need to do another show with you, because these shows will only run about an hour, and we are already at 50 minutes, so I'm probably going to have to call you back, another week to do a part 2 with you.
That'd be fun, man. I'm down for it.
So, when IWA, you won your Carnage Cup 6, you got that off your calling card, you came back, Carnage Cup 10, there was this thing floating around, something new called the Soft Core Division. What was your take on that shit?
hated it.
Like,
Fucking hated it.
like I remember you 6 feet and the Sickness fought each other in a tag team match on the very first Softcore Cup 2, which is available on Smart Mark Video. And, that was a killer fucking match.
We couldn't do a whole lot, man. It was all like glitter, and it was so humid in there.
Yeah.
I guess from the outside, the floor was slippery. And I don't know, man. I mean, I'm glad people liked it, man. I just thought we could have, all four of us, I thought we could have been able to do more if Kevin wasn't handcuffed by the building owners, ain't no hardcore, anything like that. So,
Yeah.
So that people would have really loved to see 6 feet under versus Sickness, in a real, and a hardcore death match, ultraviolet match, whatever you want to call it. And I would like to hope maybe one day down the road, before we all get too damn old, that might happen. So, but you never know. But
It would be a killer match. Like, anybody books that shit, Spider's got to come back out of. Spider still hasn't wrestled in since the last Carnage Cup. It's been years since he's been back.
Yeah, I know he's open up for. I think last time I heard he was open up for do one post match and a Carnage stuff and be a Carnage stuff. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I tell everybody a million times, I'm pushing Carnage Cup 12 for next year. We've heard some good announcements on it, and hopefully we will get Carnage Cup 12 next year. It obviously won't be, the rumor is right now, we did say this on the last show that I did with Kevin on my broadcast, is we've actually got a huge connection now in Texas.
Oh.
And we want to bring Carnage Cup 12 to the great state of Texas, and that'll be the first time, obviously, this has ever happened. And, we are pushing huge for this.
That'd be great. That would be great.
And, some of the, we're trying to, we want to bring our, we obviously want to bring our locals that we got here over there. But, obviously we're going to use a lot of the Texas talent as well. And especially shout out to Chewy Martinez.
Chewy! Love that guy. Great dude.
I just did an interview with him, I think, last week. So, yeah, love Chewy. Chewy's my brother. And, dude, Carnage Cup 10, you were there. I don't know if you heard this shit. It got brought up maybe a few weeks ago. But, during me and Chewy's match, in the back, he was like, hey, dude, throw some water on me and call me a wetback. And I was just like, no, I ain't saying that shit, man. But he talked me into it eventually. So I said the shit, and the crowd loved it that night. They're in Tennessee, so they probably didn't like Mexicans any fucking way, and they loved it. And I'd be damned, a few weeks ago, I read on one of the deathmatch pages where they were like, has anyone ever noticed that he rare called Chewy a wetback? And I was like, God damn, that's old as shit. Where have you been at? But I always bring it up. It was Chewy's idea, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it's on this day and age, people posting the afternoon, people want to throw a little bit hissy, but that's for another day.
Trust me, I've got 2 shows on my broadcast talking about the bullshit right now, and
Oh yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I watched a little bit of it today.
Which one did you watch? Part 1 or Part 2?
Part 2.
Okay. Like you said, I don't even want to get into it because God bless America. I can talk about it for hours, but it's just it's pitiful right now, and I'm hoping that everything comes back together and we can all just come back together, literally.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I'm not on Facebook or Twitter or any of that, just because I got off that stuff in December of 2019 last year, and I just knew 2020 was going to be a giant shit storm, and I was right. So I thought, people go, oh, we should come back to Facebook playing and all this. I'm like, hell no, I'm staying the hell away from that place.
Yeah, like, I mean, right now, yeah, Facebook's got so bad that they're censoring every fucking thing, to do with, like, Trump and the Republicans, especially Trump. And, you can't post, like, random pictures, or their Autobots flag your shit for no reason. I've been kicked off for, it said, like, sexual content, and there was no nudity in the damn photo. And when you hit, dispute photo, it don't do shit.
Exactly, yeah.
And I had an interview with Spike Zombie, and she literally said that, it's because of their Autobots, basically, and it sees random shit, and it'll just flag it, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
But before we get off here, let's just go back to the earlier part of your career. Who was the hardest hitting fucker that you got in the ring with?
Hardest hitting? I've had some neck butchers up there, brain damages up there. Brain damage about knocked me out at King of the Death 2007, I think. Yeah, he about knocked me out. And but the hardest hitting guy, Freak Show's another one too. But all them guys, hard hitters in there, the hardest, the most brutal. Well, I just felt like I was hit by a damn locomotive. It was deranged.
Deranged.
Yes, man. We had some pretty brutal matches. I mean, and not just because of the gimmicks that were in the match, but just from just sheer brutality of brute force and just being stiff. Because there was a show that Ian did called Kings of Extreme that was going to be filmed for big video, and it was never released. It was going to be in 3D and all this crazy shit. And apparently, for whatever reason or not, it didn't get released. Me and Deranged had this Taipei death match, and dude, he hit me so hard one time. I'm lying, I'm dying. I went blind for like 2 or 3 seconds. I couldn't see. Everything was black. He hit me in the head so hard I went blind. And then he hit, and then he popped me again, and I could see again. Barely. It was all blurry. Man, oh God, dude, we were just, oh man, we slugged it out. And I'm not the big, and I'm not known for my devastating strikes or anything like that. But oh man, it was, I have to say, particularly Deranged is probably the biggest slugger of them all, I think. And the funny thing is, he looks like a damn psycho killer. Just the nicest dude one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I learned about Spider. Is by the time I met Spider, he already got kind of big. He wore the contacts and tattoos on his face, so he looks like a damn killer.
Yeah.
And meeting him and talking to him, nicest, one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. He's taking care of me 100%.
Yep. Nice, super swell guy, man. He's one of the best. I love Spider. He's a great dude.
Maybe I'll get to wrestle Spider one more time. I'm biased on this, but I consider over the years, I think me and Spider definitely, we put our rivalry up there in Deep South as probably one of the longest rivalries in IWA Deep South. Like, we wrestled so many freaking shows against each other.
Yeah.
One-on-one tag matches or groups. He had the Sickness, I had the New Religion and the Ubermenschen. So I was always going against Spider for some reason.
Yeah, well, man, if it works, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the fans always the fans loved it. You never heard, you really didn't hear fans complaining except Northern fans. Because, the North does not like the South, and nothing's really changed there. And honestly, I think it's worse now than what it used to be.
Yeah.
But I am the new commissioner of Iwa Deep South, so I'm gonna change a few things around here.
All right.
And
well, sounds good, man. I'm hoping to see some good things. Hope to see some good things down the road from Deep South again, man. Because I mean, there was a time, man. They were Deep South was an awesome place, and I would like to see it back there again and running full steam again. Because like I said, I've always enjoyed my time at IWA Deep South, and it really I built a reputation there. As one of the originals, and and I was able to go to other places and wrestle all over the continent, and Deep South will always have a soft spot in my heart, and I've had some contact with Kevin, about maybe some future, maybe doing some future things with him, but I don't want to say anything yet because nothing is set in stone and stuff. But there's no, and I want to say, it hasn't been a big secret. I gained a lot of weight. I was 370 pounds, and I've been working out. I've lost 75 of them. I'm under 300 pounds for the first time in years. Yeah. So I'm getting in shape. So if that tells anybody anything, hey.
Like I know, we originally had you.
I'll be coming down the pipe.
Like we originally, we had you booked on Angel of Death tournament, and obviously that's whenever you had your injury.
Dude, I was sick, man. I had that injury. I was sick, man. I'll tell you, the last half of last year and the early part of this year, man, there was something wrong with me. I don't know what it was. I had a hernia, and I was really overweight at the time. So I mean, I'm still not there yet, but I mean, I was like, after missing your tournament and the Gypsy Jump tournament and another tournament here in Georgia that Cody McCauley was helping run, I think, I had to cancel all them bookings, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to have my final send off. And I was like, I got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So I mean, so I started getting serious about getting healthy again. So that's what I've been doing, and not just because of wrestling, but just for general health, and also I want to be around for my family and stuff. So.
Yeah, if anyone in Deep South deserves that damn killer send off, it's definitely you. Like, if I was to make a Mount Rushmore of the Deep South guys, it would be you, Show, Tank, and honestly, probably Spider. That'd be the four right there. What you four did.
We got to throw you in there too, man. Because I mean, you won a Carnage Cup, and you've done some shit there. So I mean, you need maybe a 5-man Rushmore.
I'm just gonna keep it at 4.
Okay, that's fine.
Like
be
what?
Modest, that's fine.
Well, what y'all built. Y'all built the house that I play in. Well, I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I see your point there. Okay. Yeah, we're the OGs.
Y'all the OG. Yeah, y'all the OGs of the place. But Lane, I have rather enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, there's so much the shit to cover with you. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 with you, just like Freak Show. I've got to do another one with him. When y'all have had these long and healthy careers, there's so much to talk about. Like, we didn't even get to talk about your busted balls, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Holy shit, I forgot about that. But that'll have to be next time.
Yeah, write it down, man.
But yeah, definitely. Let me get back with you. This was Insane Lane. We have definitely enjoyed having you on here.
Thank you, John.
And this will be up shortly on my channel. If you have not subscribed yet, do it immediately.